So, we back with yet another topic that a lot of people don't fully understand but is super important. Intersex. Yes, don't pretend like you didn't hear me. Intersex. Not internet sex, okay? So sit tight, grab your coffee, and let's break it. So, what does it mean to be intersex? Most people think there are only two sexes, male and female, right? But nature sometimes likes to throw curveballs. Here is Crystal Hendricks, an activist from South Africa, explaining what intersex is.
I was born with a XY chromosome, which means as a female, I have an XY chromosome. And also I was born without a uterus and with underdeveloped internal testes or ovaries. And when I was going through puberty, I obviously realized I was not developing like other girls. I was not getting my periods. And then this was very concerning for me personally. I think when we go to school, we are taught about female and male bodies, and we are taught that how a certain body should look, right? So we get taught male has XY chromosome, female have XX chromosome, and then they describe, the secondary and primary sex characteristics of males and the primary and secondary sex characteristics of females. And then when we leave school, we go to biology, and this is all we know. And then you find out you are intersex, and you realize that your body is not within those variations or in those binary notions.
There you have it. So intersex people exist, and they are real people just like you and me. Medically, they are described as people born with physical sex characteristics, like chromosomes, gonads, or genitals, that don't fit typical definitions of male or female. It's like this. Imagine you're baking a cake, and instead of following the male or female recipe to the T, the ingredients mix a little differently. Voila! You get something special and unique. Estimates suggest that around 1.7% of the world's population is intersex. That's roughly the same number of people with red hair. Pretty wild, huh? Okay, let's jump into the biology. Stay with me. There's nothing boring about this part, I promise. Chromosomes typically come in pairs like XY for males and XX for females. But in some cases, variations occur, like having an extra chromosome or a different hormone balance. You might hear terms like androgen insensitivity syndrome, AIS, or congenital adrenal hyperplasia, CAH. These are just fancy names for different ways people's bodies develop. AIS, for example, is where someone who is genetically male doesn't respond to male hormones, so they develop more typically female physical traits. CAH, on the other hand, leads to an increase in male hormones in someone who might otherwise develop female characteristics. Now, imagine growing up intersex in a world that thinks there are only two options, boy or girl. It can be tough. Some people don't even know they're intersex until puberty hits, or even later in life, especially when things don't develop by the book. Others are diagnosed at birth. But here's the kicker. Doctors sometimes decide to perform surgery on intersex babies to normalize their appearance. But wait for it. This is controversial because the baby can't consent, and the surgery can affect them for life. In fact, the United Nations has called these surgeries human rights violations. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Now, let's talk about the medical side. Intersex people sometimes undergo surgeries or hormonal treatments. But the big debate in the medical world today is whether it's even necessary. The truth is, 90% of intersex variations are not life-threatening. So why the rush to fix something that's not broken? Many intersex people are now advocating for no surgery unless it's medically necessary and for full autonomy over their own bodies. Here are some numbers to blow your mind. As I mentioned earlier, about 1.7% of people are born intersex. That's roughly 136 million people worldwide. And the experiences are diverse. Did you know that South African athlete Caster Semenya is intersex? Her case has raised big discussions about sports, gender, and fairness. Semenya, who has high levels of testosterone, has had to deal with unfair scrutiny, with people even questioning whether she should compete in women's races. And she's not alone. There are many other intersex athletes, activists, and everyday folks just trying to live their lives. If you've come this far in this video, congratulations. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more fun, educational content. And if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. Now back to rest of the video. Now, intersex people have been around forever, but the way societies treat them has varied wildly. Some cultures actually revered intersex people as having special powers. I mean, talk about leveling up. In indigenous cultures across North and South America, people with intersex traits were often seen as having a blend of male and female energies, which made them spiritually significant. So, in some places, it wasn't an issue. But in more modern times, there's been a struggle to get the world to understand that intersex folks are just as human as anyone else. So, what's the takeaway here? First off, intersex people are real, and their experiences matter. We need more awareness, education, and empathy. The medical field is slowly catching up, with calls to stop unnecessary surgeries on babies and let people decide for themselves. Socially, more representation in media and sports will help change perceptions. Oh, and here is a fun fact. Germany became the first country in Europe to introduce a third gender option on birth certificates in 2013. So yeah, the world is waking up. All right, friends, I hope you now have a better understanding of intersex people. If you take anything from this, remember that biology is wild, humans are diverse, and we're all just trying to figure it out. So, next time you hear the term intersex, you'll know it's about more than just the body. It's about respect, autonomy, and celebration of diversity.